alive baby is back again. Only now there are 3 of them. It lives again.
Welcome to the last episode of the podcast that would die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello there, people.
We have an amazingly special guest, Leo, our old buddy, back to talk about more. It's Alive-in.
Whoop, whoop.
It's
Leo,
alive. And Aaron's trying to be purposely ridiculous right now, so you have to excuse her.
Oh, Lord. It's a dumpster
Everybody
fire.
wants me to use the crazy boom arm, so I'm going to hold my microphone like it's a popsicle for
Put it down.
the next hour
The
or
love of-
until I lose interest.
For the love of God, please put it
For
down.
all that is holy. You said it was too far for my mouth. I can just shout louder. I
week-
can project my voice.
This week,
Even the hobos in the alley behind my house can hear me now. Hey, fellas.
Kevin, get your sister. She's out of control.
it is. We are off the rails, and we're exactly 30 seconds into the podcast. This week in the podcast that never dies, we're discussing the horror classic.
Is that the name of our podcast?
What do I call it?
The podcast that never dies.
Maybe I've changed
Well, it
it.
doesn't do that either.
We're rebranding.
The microphones may die, but not the podcast.
The movie we're discussing is It Lives Again or It's Alive 2. Or
Wait, I
some
thought we were
combination.
talking about my new book.
You're okay.
It's alive again.
No, so you've got VD, How to Have Fun with It Anyway. Okay, never mind. I guess we're talking about It's Alive.
Did you write that? I mean, are you here to promote your new novel or self-help book?
Your VD is alive, so it all works out.
Oh, sweet Lord.
Oh,
Each
okay.
week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist,
A
perhaps.
comedic twist.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. No promises. I think we got to jump right into the horror show that we've been on for the last 20 minutes dealing with Aaron's audio issues.
I'm telling you, I knew I should have spent thousands of dollars and gotten an Apple. But I spent $500
Here we go.
4 years ago for my Dell at Costco. And honestly, it is not serving me well. All I
It's been
do
5 years.
is edit photos, so I should throw it in the trash?
Perhaps.
Is it a laptop?
No, it
Oh,
is
okay.
not.
Okay.
It is
You know-
a giant. I don't even know if they make these anymore. It's like this big box, and it has a
tower.
drive.
A tower. They still make those, yes.
The Tower
You know-
of Power.
You know, Aaron, I work in information technology, and commonly what I've found, I mean, no one saw it to you in any way, shape, or form, but usually the problems that you were having, that we were dealing with tonight, commonly what I often find is it's not the computer, unfortunately.
That's what
User
my
error.
jackass son keeps telling me. I'm like, the screen, the thing keeps crashing. Get off the internet. He's like, it has nothing to do with that. I'm like, I'm blocking all your devices. Your uncle and I are recording. No, that has nothing to. I'm like, it keeps freezing. No, I'm like, I just got the alert. You've downloaded 22 gigs like today. So maybe it has something to do with it.
Maybe
Also, I cannot run Photoshop and Lightroom at the same time without the whole fucking thing freezing.
yeah, I'll give you that, because Lightroom especially is a hog. Yeah, Lightroom is a beast. You know,
So throw a little Zencaster on. I have learned to shut those apps down when we record.
but what you gotta learn to not do is change your microphone settings every time you shut it down.
That was the ghost in the Dell. Because
The ghost in the
clearly,
Dell.
the ghost
The
that lives in
farmer
the
in the
Dell.
Dell.
The farmer in the Dell. The ghost of the farmer in the Dell.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I
Yeah.
mean-
every time I don't use the computer for like more than 2 minutes and we record, I have to restart the whole thing.
It
3 times.
misses you. Computers have feelings too.
Well, this one's going to be suicidal because I've been cursing him left and right.
It's freaking ridiculous. Like literally, we try to put forth this facade that we're some kind of a professional situation here, and
Professionals get paid.
well, but every time Leo
We're
comes
like
on,
a non-profit organization.
it's like literally,
Don't
Yeah,
yell
we're
at
for
the
a nonprofit.
volunteers. Don't yell at the volunteers.
it's like throw us a lifeline, Leo. Help us out. We don't know what the hell we're doing. It's basically what this
You know, I'm here to help. I'm gonna have to fly out to Cali one day and just
Please.
hardwire everything of Aaron's,
Ah,
and then
That
change all
would
the
be awesome.
settings so she can't get into things and change stuff. She has to have an administrator password. No unplugging wires or cables. Everything's tied down and locked up.
Honestly, that would be fine with me. At one time in my life, I was a tech person.
Mhm.
That was a long time ago.
Now let's talk about this other subject for a while.
Which
Ah,
subject is that?
the movie.
The,
we're-
the hobos that live outside my house, or which
well,
subject?
there's that. About what was it, a year and a half ago? You were on our show to discuss It's Alive,
Yes,
and at that time you're like, we got to come back and discuss
got to circle back.
the less heralded sequel. It Lives Again. It's Alive too. Whatever the hell it's called.
Oh, we're not going to stop there. I saw that there's such a thing called the Island of the Alive.
Correct. The third and final
Yeah.
chapter.
Got to do it, and Leo's got to be there for that.
You know, I'm all for it.
Sweet G. Okay, Aaron, give us the 30-second synopsis of.
But wait,
It Lives-
wait.
Oh, go for it, Leo. Go for it.
Before you do, I have to issue a public apology for the first It's Alive. Remember at some point along the show, I think towards the end, I was talking about how I felt that it had ripped off from a lot of other horror movies, and I named a few. Actually, the ones I named, It's Alive, came out before them.
Ooh.
So
Someone
I have
is
to
bold enough to steal from It's Alive?
so I have to apologize to the cast, the crew, Larry Cohen, everyone. I'm sorry. That was my faux pas. I didn't want to. I even want to apologize to the entire horror community. How dare I?
I
How
would
dare
apologize to Rob Zombie too, just while you're at it.
I'll never apologize to
No.
him. I'm so
That's
so
a bridge too
disappointed
far.
in him. That's another conversation we can have, because I'm so disappointed in Rob Zombie. But okay, let's continue.
I have to talk about
I've never
Rob
been
Zombie.
appointed with him, so it's always been a disappointment.
I feel like it's kind of an indicator of a person's personality. If they're like, favorite Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween. The moment they
Well,
tell me that,
I've already
Swipe,
checked
swipe,
out.
Swipe.
that's it. Pull the plug, lock the door. That's it.
Oh my god!
And that's happened. That's happened to me about 3 times in my life, and I always run for the door. It's very upsetting.
Oh my gosh! Those are
True.
not your friends, Kevin. Those are not your
No.
friends.
Those are clearly monsters, and they need to be
They're
destroyed.
clearly monsters.
Well,
No
my
question.
disappointment with Rob is that
Please.
he has a literal catacomb filled with all horror that you can imagine. The man has collected some of the. He has one of the largest horror collections in the universe, but he can't make a movie to save his life.
I believe that Hostel is based on his basement.
How could you possibly be that deep into horror and not be able to make a good horror film? I don't understand. I'm speechless about it.
I agree.
I
But there
feel-
are many people who love him,
Yes.
and I just assume that they're just without their medication. So,
They are, and they have no home training, like we
No.
like to say.
I feel like he knows the elements that are supposed to be in a horror movie. He
Yeah,
doesn't know like what order they should go in. He'll like dump it all into a blender, add a little light sexual assault, mix
Yeah.
it up, some uncomfortable nudity, throw a little of that in there. Sherry Moon Zombie is going to have a prominent role for some reason, and then just roll it out to the public. And
I like to put it this way: do you love cake?
I do.
That doesn't make you a baker.
True.
That is true.
That's how I put it. He
I
loves horror.
cannot paint, but
That
I
doesn't
can
make him a horror
imagine.
filmmaker, right?
I can imagine what the painting is going to look like. And somewhere between my brain and the paintbrush, there's a disconnect.
And that's a Rob Zombie horror
And
film.
that's a Rob Zombie.
No, I mean, I've been to the dentist, but don't hand me the drill, right? Don't say, why don't you take
Right.
a swing at this? No, thanks.
Let me
Anyway.
try.
No matter how much money you pour in the mix, it ain't gonna come out right.
It is not.
Somebody's walking out bleeding and not in a good way.
That's true.
Uh,
Good Lord. Okay, Aaron,
All
finish your
right.
30-second synopsis of It Lives Again, for God's sakes.
So apparently, sharp-toothed mutant babies is like a phenomenon. So much so that we need to have special vans to collect them and then breed them at 6 years old, 6 months old. For what reason, we don't know. But it's a battle of the dads. Some dads want to keep their little monster babies. Some dads are smart enough to cut their losses. Apparently, they're not successful because there's a third one. How about, we do a quick ultrasound and we don't wait till like the baby is crowning with its claw hook hands. I feel like they would know a little earlier. I mean, what is this, 78, 2010? I don't know. I'm assuming they had some kind of scientific shit to figure out what's going on inside a woman's uterus before 9 months.
They just kept saying it's a big baby.
It's a big
It's
baby.
a big baby with
a
claws and
big-
hooks.
I'm glad that Kevin, I'm just jumping right in. I'm glad that
Please.
you brought up the branding, because all of the posters and branding for this movie says it lives again. It lives again. It lives again. What does it say in the title when the film starts?
Does it say it's alive?
It just says it's alive too.
Right.
It says nothing about it lives again ever.
And really, it doesn't live again because it got shot up by the LA police department
Right.
in the LA River. So it don't live again. Maybe a cousin, little Billy Jim Bob. Are these aliens? What? We don't know what these are.
Well, and I guess we have to go back to the first movie because there's really no reason why it's called It's Alive.
Well, it
Right?
is. It is alive.
I mean, granted,
It's
I mean,
alive because it lived.
it's not like it was some this is a tough pregnancy. The baby might die. Oh, it's dead. Oh, no, it's alive. There's never that moment. Right. It's just, you're giving
Here it
birth to
is.
a mutant and it's alive.
They should have just called it, here it is.
Here it is.
Whoop, there
Here's
it
Johnny.
Whoop, there it is.
And
Oh,
why are they so angry when they're born? All the yelling, people in
Well,
masks.
that gets covered in this film. We'll get there. We'll get there.
oh, God,
They're
help me.
psychic, but only a little bit, and only sometimes.
Now, Aaron, have you ever seen this movie before?
I have not.
Had you ever heard of this movie?
From you.
Wow.
I
Honestly,
feel like-
even the first one, the scariest thing about the first one was in fact the trailer that used to run on TV, and I would cry, "Mommy, don't go out. I'm scared."
That baby gonna get you.
That baby. My mom was having lots of babies, so any one of those could have been the one who turned.
The
No, no
twins.
question.
Could have been Kevin. Could have been the twins. Could have been one of my sisters. I'm the oldest, so any of them. I mean, we don't know. Maybe there's a delay. Kevin could wake up with a sharp tooth and a claw. We don't know.
If you everywhere you look, you see an It's Alive baby, then you're the It's Alive baby. Oh, sweet Jesus. I had heard of I knew it existed, although I didn't know it was called It Lives Again. But I absolutely had never seen it. Now, Leo, had you seen it before this viewing before?
Yeah. So, and how I saw the first one too. You guys remember back in the day, and actually it's still going on kind of where I live, the drive-in theater. When
Yeah.
I was a kid, that's all we did. These were like those drive-in theater movies. So there would be weekends we would go to the drive-in theater. It wouldn't be the blockbuster necessarily, but we were going just because my dad said, we're going to the drive-in. And then, oh, it's alive. And then guess what? There's another one. It lives again. Let's go see that one too. And we would go. And then this movie, just like the first one, is one of those movies that I have memories of it. I have misremembered memories.
Right.
But as I rewatched it and thought about it again, and I actually talked to my brother about it, he was like, if you remember, there was a lot of times we would go to these movies when we were kids and we kind of wouldn't even really pay attention to them because at the drive-in theaters, there's these playgrounds in front of the screens.
Absolutely.
And the kids would just go up there hanging out all night and then looking up, oh, monster baby. Anyway, So let's go down the slide.
It was a fun family adventure. You bring
Right.
your dinner because your dad wasn't going to spend all that money for that snack bar food.
Nope, we bought popcorn.
Even when I went with my friends, and then later on, after I had a baby and I desperately wanted to see a movie and I didn't have a babysitter, we'd just drive around till the baby fell asleep and then get drive through and go to the movies.
Go to the drive-in, yeah.
I
Hang
would
the little speaker on the
friends
window.
pack your friends in the back of the car, and then you just get out and roam around. It's just like random teenagers.
It was a social
with beer
event.
and alcohol. It was an event.
It was a social event with a movie playing on the screen. God knows what the movie was. It kind of didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
See,
Kevin, did you ever go to the Palm Springs Drive-In?
I went to the Palm Springs Drive-In, but I feel like I missed the whole Grindhouse era of drive-ins. When I literally the first
I
movie
took Megan to see Zombie there. I think I was a senior. She was like a freshman.
traumatizing your little sister.
No, that's no. That's not traumatizing her. That's initiation.
Rite of passage.
Honestly, it
Rite of passage.
traumatized me, and it's like it follows. You got to pass it on.
Right. Rite of passage.
I honestly think I saw the first movie I saw there was like Spaceballs or something. I mean, it was like it was not It Lives Again, that's for sure. So, but I literally I have not been to the drive-in in 35 years. I mean, it's been ages. So I don't.
I've taken my kids. My kids are teenagers now, and actually one of them's 21 now too. Yeah. But we've taken them to the drive-in. We have a drive-in theater real close to us, and we still go just
sweet
for the heck of it. Of course, it's all different now. Now you just roll up and put your stereo on a certain radio station. Yeah. But if you don't have that capability, guess what? There's an app. You could put your app. The drive-in has an app.
Dude,
now.
you could run through your Bluetooth. You can bring your little Bluetooth bumper.
Exactly.
Have some drink a beer, watch the movies. I mean, it's no different than going to the movies now. I mean, nowadays, all your jackass friends are on their phones, or literally answering their phones in the movies, or like checking their watches while you're like, "What the f***? I'm trying to watch a film." So the drive-in can't be any worse than that.
No, it's not. And it's still just hanging out a lot, you know?
Yeah.
It's fun. Real fun stuff.
Oh yeah, it was a lifesaver when I had like a newborn. You just wanted to get the fuck out of the house. I want to see a current movie.
I want to see Zombie 2. Exactly.
I was so excited. I remember being so excited. I like packed a whole dinner, and we fed the baby, and we just relaxed and watched the current film and ate dinner in the car. Sad times.
Why don't we go back to It Lives Again?
Okay.
Let's jump right into. Let's stagger slowly into the highlights, shall we?
Dude, the very opening sequence where we're at the weird baby shower, I thought that was Palm Springs.
Yes.
I had to Google that. It actually was filmed in Tucson, but it looked like our old hometown growing up.
Yeah, all desert communities look exactly the same.
I'm starting to come to see that. It's a very similar architecture and dirt front yards with colorful rocks when you live in the desert.
I have to say, this is one of my favorite scenes in this movie, not because of that reason, but because there are so many good things happening here.
Oh, yes.
One of my first favorite things that are happening in this scene. Do you guys remember this? It was like this style of the 70s where they would film a movie, and if there's a crowd of people, you just hear, they would show these random scenes of people, but you would hear one conversation really loud above everyone else. This scene does exactly that. Gene's like talking about, hey, I'm a lawyer. Come watch this trial I'm about to do. And stuff like that. I'm like, and it's just blaring loud. Like, why? Just to draw attention to the fact that, and I think the idea was to let you know, to clue you off that this is the main character you need to pay attention to.
Right.
while you're watching these random shots of a baby eating cake and people drinking at a baby shower. And yeah, let's not forget about that. There were people doing shots at a baby shower. I don't know.
It was the 70s. What else would you be doing at a baby shower?
I don't know.
like
I'm a guy.
54.
I think I've been to one baby shower in my life, and we weren't doing shots. So
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that you went through these baby shower phases, and then it was baby showers are just for ladies.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then all of a sudden the men had to be roped back in and sit there and play dumb games with us.
So it was a party, and shots were allowed.
Had to
Apparently.
entertain the men. You had to bait the hook to get the husbands to roll in.
Well, and I wrote down Party Crasher because the dude, the father from the first movie, just
Frank.
sneaks in. Frank just chilling at the party the entire time, talking to no one until the divorcee sidles up to him. Hey, you want to ride home, big guy?
This
It's
is
so
my
fucking
second favorite
yeah.
part of this scene.
It's so fucking ridiculous. Baby showers are like your close friends and family. This isn't 250 people over at the Sheraton for your wedding. They're going to notice if Uncle Fester is sitting on the couch talking to Aunt Sally. Who
First
the
of
hell
all,
is this dude? How'd
First
you
of all-
wander in off the street? Is this the strangers?
how did he get in? I don't know what kind of parties you guys throw. I've thrown parties at my house. I still know who's in my house.
Yes!
How did he end up just sitting in a corner on the couch?
Maybe they were swingers. It was all just a blur.
But like I said, this is my second favorite part of this whole scene, which is the blonde saunters up to him and says, "Hey, maybe if you're going my way." And he kind of is like, "No." And then he blows her off. But what was her immediate reaction?
He must be gay.
He
Tell
must
me-
be gay.
There you go. There you go.
She
You don't
went
want
right
to get
there.
with me. That's only one
You
reason.
must be gay.
He's gay, isn't he? I don't even know who the he is.
Who the is that? What's he doing in my
And
house?
why is he not leaving?
Get me the gun.
Now, I will say this: back in the day, back in my party throwing days, it was not baby showers, mind you, but there would always be a couple jackasses who was a friend of a friend who were the
Right.
last people to leave. You're like, bro, everyone else has left. It's 2:30 in the morning. I'm flashing the lights. They're
Yeah.
still hitting their liquor cabinet. I'm like,
But
who
were they
are you?
47?
It was Frank. It was Frank.
It was Frank. But at least in that situation, everybody kind of knew who that was, right?
It was
Frank
at
was-
least a friend of a friend.
Frank literally was from another state.
Another state.
No one knew who this guy was. And then everybody suddenly is like, "Hey, wait, who's that guy in the corner?"
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't go home with her. He must be gay.
He just sidles in. That's the best part. Didn't even bother ringing the bell. Just went right to the sliding glass door. Because I will
Sliding
tell you,
glass
in the 70s in the Des, no one locked their door. My parents didn't have keys to their house until, I don't know, we lived there 10 years. Kevin would just crawl through the doggy door to unlock the house when we'd come back from vacation.
That sounds like you're giving away secrets.
Well, they don't live there
I
anymore.
mean, I'm just
but
saying.
eventually, they did get some keys.
Let me ask you this, and I don't want to get super political about this, but did it
Go-
seem
do it.
like this
Get
was an
political.
analogy for abortion? An abortion.
Oh my
debate?
gosh, you're
Oh, for
jumping
sure.
ahead. You're jumping ahead.
Well, the
this is
moment
what
Frank
I
starts
think.
talking to him, I was like, "Oh shit!" Is he,
I think I even said this on our last episode. It's actually anti-abortion.
yes. The
This
heroes.
whole vibe is anti-abortion.
Well, look what happens if you don't have abortions. It's pro-abortion. We need more abortions.
Well, then there's that. Yeah, you can look
If
at it that
there's
way.
not enough abortions, next thing you know, you get snaggletooth claw babies. But not in Arizona. You got, or what is it? Arizona, you're gonna have to keep your snaggletooth claw baby no matter
Well,
what.
now you have to. Yeah,
Now
no
you
matter
have
what.
to.
Thanks
Maybe
to a
that's
law.
the island of the alive. It's Arizona. We just dig a trench around them.
Isn't it funny that this movie takes place?
in Arizona. Coincidence?
Coincidence? I think
I
not.
think not.
Oh, it all makes perfect sense now.
What? It's like what we're talking. It's like what Trump always talks about. He's like, it's those late-term abortions. They're giving birth and then trying to abort the child. Then, see,
It's all coming full circle. I need to just throw away all my notes. All my notes are out the window now.
People have been saying, very important people.
Very important people, 100%. Because I mean, let's be honest. Frank could have knocked on their door 6 months earlier and been like, "Hey, maybe we should go down to the clinic." Right? It's not like let's carry this mutant baby full term. Anyway,
but he was there to warn them. And here's the weird part about that whole situation too was Frank finally explains to them, the government sent out to, they put a call out to all doctors to take these tests to test these women in pregnancy and turn in any abnormalities, which if you think about it, that's an astronomical feat in the 70s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pre-internet era. Pre-www error.
A lot of faxes.
How did they do this? Yeah, how did they pull this off? How did
Those are like letters in the mail.
Is someone making punch cards? Is that it? They're over at the Radio Shack punching cards to put it into the
Omnivac or whatever.
Apparently, because the way he explained it, it was every hospital in every state, every city got this message from the government to test every pregnant woman for these abnormalities. How?
And what's the test exactly? I mean, I have a little bit of a go.
They take an X-ray, and if they see a tooth and a claw, you failed the test.
That makes sense. But I
And
don't
a
want
large baby.
door if I've got a webbed toe and gunning me down in my swaddling clothes.
Next thing you know,
Kevin says that because he has a webbed toe.
That's what I'm saying.
This is just hitting a little close. It's a little too close.
Oh, it's personal.
I never thought he'd make it with his two webbed toes.
Oh, this movie. So yeah, that's basically what it is. You have Frank and his gang warning people who are straight set to pop,
who are going to kidnap their babies.
Well, they're saying, hey, my wife gave birth to a mutant freak. And I want you guys to know that there's still love that you can give. You're assuming you survive, you can give to this little freakish child, right? But if you don't, then the government's swooping in at literally the moment of birth with like machine guns. We're taking over the whole hospital
and shooting your kid,
right?
Because that was their only means of killing the babies, was to just shoot it. Firing squad.
Those little fuckers could really almost fly. It's like every cat in a horror movie, even though it weighs like 1 pound, it just comes flying, and you literally have to fight it because somehow it has this super strength to knock you down and rip your throat out.
Right. I like how at first they didn't know who he was, and then eventually, what's her name, Joni? She's like, "Oh yeah, Frank from the whole situation."
We're going to call him Joni and Chachi, if you don't.
And then Gene was like, her husband was like, "By the way, Frank, I don't, I know it's kind of terrible, but how many people did your baby kill?" Now, if you remember the first one, it really wasn't that many kills, was it? And if you noticed in this one,
I mean, not compared to like Gaza or something.
But he didn't answer. He never answered that question. Right. They asked him how many people did it kill, and he just goes off into this soft story about, yeah, as a father, it was tough to watch it all, and blah 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 blah. But Frank, how many people did your baby kill? All I can remember was it killed the ice cream man. That's the only kill I can remember from.
The crazy ice cream man with the rat tail. Was he like bald on top of this long weird thing?
Well, all they showed was the baby jump in the back of the ice cream truck, and then all this blood starts squirting out. That was the first one, and that's the only kill I can remember from that entire movie.
It was the Carnation dairy truck.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently Frank couldn't remember either, so he just changed the subject a little bit.
It's like, there's just too many to count. I mean, the baby's the size of what? A football? A rugby ball?
Something
it's about this big, but it's able to squeeze the ice cream man like a tube of toothpaste.
Yes.
Like you said, it's like a cat. He'd jump on you and get that neck. He jumps on you and get at that neck. That's all it takes.
I don't even know if they have back legs. Maybe they're like a seal in the back. We don't know.
Watching this movie, the people's kind of allegiances kind of bounce around pretty easily. Like Gene and Joni are constantly sliding back and forth. Oh, protect the baby, kill that
Yeah.
baby. Like they can't make a
Abortion, anti-abortion. I think Leo nailed it.
It was. I got anti-abortion vibe from it.
Well, you're anti-abortion until your child tries to sink his teeth in, and then it's like, let's go! Retroactive abortion.
Right. The people who were like, even they said it only attacks when it's threatened. When Frank bites the dust, he wasn't threatened. He was holding the baby.
Tried to take care of it.
He was.
Well,
And it chewed on him.
Well, see, we're jumping all over the place again. That's the end. That's towards the end of the movie, Kevin.
Well, that's our way. It's stream of consciousness, Leo. Leo's trying to rein us in, but we're out of control.
I know. I listen to the show all the time. I don't know why I'm surprised.
Why are they talking about the end at the beginning?
I took like all these notes and I got them in order here. I might as well just throw them.
I have one page of notes, and I'm not sure I can read it all, but
No, I've got like 4 notes here.
But I just love how, I mean, you know, there's so many funny points to this movie. Like Frank's at the hotel.
Yes.
He tells her, I'll be at this hotel. And then this group of doctors just shows up in this mobile birthing unit.
Yes.
And then there's all this rock and roll music playing real loud.
For no
I think it was
reason.
coming from the hotel apparently? And somebody was like, why is the music so loud? Well, these people don't have anything else to do, I guess.
except cook meth and listen to that rock and roll.
That's correct.
Apparently.
100%.
It is Tucson. This is where that Robo John. Oh no, what was that freaking movie Charlie Sheen we saw?
The Wraith.
The Wraith
Wraith.
is also in Tucson. So there's a lot of bad shit going on there.
Clearly.
But ironically, it's right when Joni goes into labor. So for some reason, Gene decides, like he hated Frank. He was trying to throw him out of the house.
Yes.
Now she's going into labor. Who's the first person he calls? He tries to call Frank and can't get a hold of him. Then he gets pissed off. These doctors coming in from out of state, blah, 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 talking all this crap. I knew it was a lie. If you knew it was a lie, why did you call them first?
'Cause
Why
they're
didn't
from
you
Arizona.
just go to the hospital?
Right. Right. Well,
Gene has a lot of issues.
Gene has a lot. He even had a twitch. Like towards the end, he kept doing this.
It was the PTSD of the baby trying to feed off of him.
That's Frank, not Gene. Although Gene has his own run-ins later in the movie.
He does, yeah.
Frederick Forrest, who plays Gene, in the 80s, I was convinced he was Scott Glenn. Because they kind of look similar to me.
Ooh,
They
they
both have that
do.
kind of weathered.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
But he was the dad in Valley Girl, his
Yes.
most triumphant role.
Yeah.
Yes.
As soon as that clicked in, I'm like, it's the dad from Valley Girl with the hippie parents.
That's him. That was his heyday.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God. I love watching these movies in the 70s because the husband and wife relationship is all pretty much the same.
Yes.
It's about 1 second close before the police arrives because all conflict needs to be some screaming at freak out.
It does.
Perhaps a push and a shove, but then, it's okay. Let's all get it on.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
talking about later in the movie when they make
Yeah.
it in
I'm
there.
talking in every 70s movie.
They
This
all
is
do it.
classic.
They all do
That
it.
is
Yeah.
true. I don't want you to touch me anymore.
Get your filthy hands off of me!
You
I
did
was
this
just-
to me.
And then he tries to play it off. I was just trying to give you a hug. You don't want me to hug you
You're a
anymore?
liar.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't trying to get no
Right.
booty. I was just trying to get a hug.
Quite frankly, a 50-pound monster just crawled out of my body. I'm not ready, friend.
She said it still hurts.
Well, she literally
There's
gave
still
birth 12
claw
hours
marks on the
ago.
way out. Come on.
It was was 12 hours ago she gave birth to a 60-pound
It was
freak.
the day before, and he's like, "Let's go."
Hey, baby,
Now
I
our
missed you.
baby's in a cage downtown with the other monster babies.
I missed you. I missed you a lot. I'm so glad you came.
Don't ever leave me for 12 hours again.
I can't take it.
Let's back up. Let's talk about the
Back
birthing.
up.
Let's talk about the birthing
Please.
because there again so much comedy in this. The whole oh my gosh, I'm crying. And the whole birthing situation where Frank, they managed to basically kidnap Joni and get her to the hospital to
Yes.
make her have this baby so they could kill it. They shoved Gene off somewhere.
Right. A gunpoint.
Frank shows up. There's cops everywhere. He barely flashes a fake ID. Hey, this is Dr. Jones. I got a heart transplant to take care of.
I'm on
And they
my
just all
way.
stand there and he just walks on in.
No lab coat,
What?
no ID.
Pre
Nothing.
9/11. It was a
Dude's
different
got on
world.
he's got on his leather jacket, Sansa slacks,
That's
Sansa
a
belt
combination.
slacks.
Absolutely.
And he just, I'm Dr. Jones. I have a heart transplant to perform. And
I'm
they all
looking
just
forward.
go right in, doctor.
Go right in, doctor. Please make yourself at home.
Oh
Good
my gosh.
Lord.
That's when doctors could, I think, still smoke in the operating room.
Oh,
Nurse.
yeah.
Hold that
Ooh.
for me.
That was one of the funniest things about watching The Exorcist again was watching the doctor smoke in his office at the hospital while he was talking to the mom.
Absolutely. The guy's in there with like a parliament hanging out of the corner of his mouth. Let's do this. Absolutely. Nurse ashtray. Yeah. Good.
But then the
grief.
next thing you know, Frank is pulling a gun. I can never remember the gray-haired guy's name. I just started writing him down as gray-haired doctor. The
I
leader
put
of-
him down as the dude from the
Godfather.
Godfather.
Yeah,
Right.
what was his name in this movie? But Frank just pulls
Old
a gun
man.
on him, and he's like, "All right, let's go into the delivery room." And then this dude starts shouting orders to the cops. You're a doctor. Where was the commanding officer of these policemen, other than this doctor? For the rest of the movie, he was always telling all the cops what to do. How does that work? What kind of pull does he have here?
This is important because it's revealed that he was the father, a miracle
Yeah.
baby, because he's clearly
Yep.
95 years old. He
Yeah,
was
apparently.
the father. He was Charlie Chaplin. He was the
Right.
father of the child in Seattle.
Yeah,
And unlike Frank, he was like, kill that thing. He did not have a loving moment with his mutant baby.
But that
And-
gives him powers of command over all police jurisdictions.
He works for the X-Files. He's part of the secret government thing.
Okay.
He's the smoking man from the X-Files. That's who he is.
I just thought that was hilarious. I'm like, how is he just telling people, all of these cops? And then he'd be like, let him through. Okay,
Yes.
let's go.
Well, how does the other faction have all this fucking money for these baby monster cages and
Right.
giant trucks that just show up?
Yes.
They
The
never
best
explain
part
that.
is he's literally kidnapped the old man, and he's like, "I haven't broken any laws. You can't touch me." I'm like, "You've been holding a gun at a dude's head and made
And they
him
all
drop."
just stand there.
You're right. You're free
And
on your
speaking,
own
and speaking of that
Good
other
luck,
faction,
Dick.
speaking of that other faction, Aaron, if we rewind a little bit, right when Frank checks into the hotel, he makes a call to those doctors and he goes, "Yeah, there's a lot of people here sympathizing with us." What people was he talking about? We never saw anything about people sympathizing with him. What is he talking about? What?
I saw Frank and a couple of knuckleheads and a doctor who immediately, none of these people on either side know how to actually handle the mutant babies.
Right.
Even if their job is to just shoot them in the hospital room,
Or
they,
let 'em go.
they have to F that up, no matter what. Either side.
No, it's true. She gives birth to a mutant baby in like the back of a rickety U-Haul, essentially, while they're driving 75 miles down the whatever it is, the 10 freeway.
At 25 miles per hour. Don't forget, Frank said, slow down.
Swirling.
Only go
favorite-
25.
My favorite part is they are wheeling her out of the hospital, to the ambulance.
Oh my gosh.
And it's 4 hours. It's down a ramp. It's downstairs. I'm
Yes.
like, what the kind of a hospital is this? And then they finally just pick her up by the pad because
Yes.
and just shove her on the floor in the
Right.
bottom of the U-Haul box.
Correct.
and
On an
not
old
to
futon.
mention, not to
Love
mention,
the scene.
not to mention that whole sequence. Frank has his gun to Dr. Grayhair and he
Yes.
says, okay, there's a truck out back. I need to make sure that they pull around and they get up to the dock and we get her loaded up.
Where's the loading dock?
About a half second after he says that, that lady comes on the intercom and it reminds me of the airplane movie.
Yes.
And she's like, attention, attention. There is a truck that will be pulling around to the dock and everyone should I'm like, how did she know? He had just told old dude this and now she's broadcasting it over the intercom to all the cops.
She's
Maybe
very
How
she's
did
part
she
of the
know?
faction. She's undercover. She's part of the
very
faction.
sympathetic.
Maybe they had
Absolutely.
Bluetooth back in the 70s and we didn't even know because while Frank was talking, she heard it and then she got to announce it.
100%. 100%. So she gives birth to the freak, and like you said, no safety precautions of any kind. Like no gloves. I mean,
Nope.
like literally, if I'm washing a cat, I use special, do something, goddammit. So of course, one of them is immediately clawed at by the creature while they're trying to put it in like a case. Oh, come on. Very upsetting.
And
Well, as we
then-
learned during COVID, none of those protections really are worth anything.
Well,
I'm
it's
going to
all- it's
demand
fake.
when I have surgery, my doctor's not scrub, even if he just had like a liverwurst and onion sandwich, and no masks.
No masks. Absolutely not. Very upsetting.
And that was funny too, because somehow I think that was Joni's real doctor ended up in the truck, right? And he was the one that was like, you need
Also
to kill it.
bald.
This
Yeah.
thing needs to die. It needs to die. And
See?
then when the baby comes out, who was the first person that attacked? That guy.
See?
Called
It's a
up his-
psychic.
Jumped straight for his throat, scratched him up like a cat.
See?
Well, later when
Wait,
they,
in theory, all this stuff sounds good. But once they try to take a chomp on you, then you're like, no.
Nah, Bubba, nah.
and then off camera they switch. They like pull over, put the father and the mutant baby
Yeah.
in the VW bus while they leave the mother just behind for the feds, and then the dead body of the doctor jumps out the door for no reason.
Ah! As soon as they open the door, ah!
Ah! Yeah, that was it. Good. You're a doctor. Help the guy. I mean, the guy's bleeding to death. Anyway, moving on. Sweet Jesus.
Well, they did just pull out a baby the size of Billy Barty out of her, so she might need some stitches
That's a large baby.
before Jean gets at her.
She gets 100%. 100%. Good Lord.
There was a quote earlier about when what's his face is introducing himself at the swingers party, and they're like, "Oh, we heard about your baby on CBS News." So I want to know if
Yeah.
people was sitting around with like Walter Cronkite,
Yes.
and they were covering the monster babies that are
Apparently.
hopping along the West Coast.
100%.
Yeah, that was Joni that said that because Gene was like, why doesn't he go ahead and tell us who he is and what he wants? And she goes, I know who he is. I saw him on CBS News.
He was on
Remember
People
the baby?
magazine.
I'm like,
It was People Magazine. Weekly World News.
World Weekly News.
That boy. Absolutely.
and I love those movies like that too, because like when people have those serious moments, they suddenly look like they're in a trance. Because she was like, I know who he is. He was on CBS News. Joni, are you high all of a sudden? What happened here?
Gene Shalit was interviewing him.
She was emoting. Okay.
Oh,
It's a method
okay.
thing where
It's
we
emoting.
far
Right.
away gaze. Exactly. Stare into space like you've been hypnotized. 100%.
Back
Oh,
to the crazy ambulance U-Haul truck.
Yes.
Did you notice there was like an X-ray on the wall?
yeah.
Yes. Oh,
One,
baby.
you don't normally X-ray people who are pregnant, and there was nothing in the abdomen.
It was just her pelvis. They had to make sure the pelvis was large for this large baby.
But there was
Apparently.
nothing in that
But there was nothing.
pelvis.
Nothing in the pelvis.
It was
So
just
what is this crazy X-ray?
it was reference for the doctors to know what to expect. It was
Oh,
just
yeah.
reference.
This is what a human female at bones look like, in case you didn't know.
I mean, maybe we know what's causing the mutations if you're constantly X-raying pregnant women. I mean, just
I mean,
Uh,
last time I had an X-ray, if you were under 60, they wrap your whole reproductive organs in lead.
you
But
get
not
that
in the
lead blanket.
70s.
they all stand in the same room together and just zap her with
Smoking.
rays. Right.
Smoking
They're catching some rays as well. Who the hell knows? Oh, sweet Jesus. So the good guys ostensibly take Jean and the baby to some kind of Beverly Hills compound where there are two other mutant freaks down in the dungeon.
With Dr. Perry.
the daycare.
The dungeon.
They're locked in cages.
And it's called It's a Daycare. So it's alive.
A daycare.
It's a daycare.
This smelled of Scientology, so I'm sure this is one of their star centers. Tom Cruise was up. This is where we got Tom Cruise, baby. He was in the cage you didn't see.
Yeah.
Right.
They only kill suppressive people, evidently. That's how it is.
Boom.
But what seemed to be their goal? Because occasionally Dr. Perry was just like, they will mate together and be the next chain of evolution. Is this what we want?
It was so odd that he was like, and I had to write this down. He was like, yeah, they seem to be highly functioning children and blah, blah, blah. And then kind of like happenstance mentions that it looks like they could start having sexual activity at 6 months. I'm like, wait, what? Why did you say that? What?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 months. I'm like, why did you have to throw that in?
That became a whole separate. I thought they were just going to study them. Now it's like we're making some
breeding
unholy army.
I'm sorry, I had to write. It was 5 or 6 years, but even still, that's just too creepy. Like when I look at babies and kids, I'm not thinking, yeah, they're healthy, they're eating right. They could probably start having sex probably about 5 or 6 years from now.
How can you figure that
How
out?
could you tell?
Looking
Why?
at these mutant newborns that
Why would you figure that out?
Oh my God! Is that what you?
Not
First of
how,
all,
it's
the
a
things
why.
are like that. They're like blind. Everything they see is double vision.
Yes.
Why do we want to double down on this shit? They can't take. They can travel fast distances naked. I don't know.
Naked.
Going to their moms and they can't communicate. All they can do is squack.
How do you change their fucking diapers?
They don't need it.
They don't
Oh my
wear
God.
anything. They just go. They're free range.
God help us all.
Yeah,
And then
that wasn't.
he even goes on to say that they might be those two that he had in the cage. They might be the first to reproduce on this planet.
Adam and Eve,
That's why he named them Adam and Eve.
Oh, God
which
help
is
us.
why. And then they're like, we're gonna run them through the maze again at 4 a.m.
And
The
when did
maze.
that? Why? Yeah. Why? Yeah. He's like, well, you guys are so restless. Maybe we'll run Adam through the maze again.
What they should have done is do some kind of a monster. I don't know if you remember this. They used to have this thing for hamsters called a habit trail.
Yes.
Add these little tubes and
Yep.
things. They could have done that for the mutant monster babies.
Couldn't hurt.
They have a wheel at 4 a.m.
Well, I mean, and then at this point, Gene seems like he's on board with it. He's like, okay, I had my doubts, but it seems like everything's running well here. Sounds good. Really? It seems like a freak show. Literally.
Gene's a drifter. He's just happy that someone's putting a roof over his head and feeding him.
I think, Gene was just trying to survive because he quickly flipped script again, talked about killing him again. So it was like, I think Gene was just trying to get through this thing. However, whoever seemed to have the best plan, Gene was with those people.
Right, 100%. 100%. Well, at one point, he's like, I'm going to go for a midnight swim in the
Oh,
swamp water over here in the pool.
It was like all green and
This
everything.
pool that, when did they say that got shut down? They said that whole
right.
complex that got shut down. And he's over there playing with the water. I'm like, dude, who knows when the last time that was filtered?
be full
Why are
of dead
you-
rats and
There's no
and,
pool,
and
man.
monster babies, as it turns out.
Even the night he jumped in it, it was green.
It was
And there
totally
was like
green.
some kind of algae or seaweed at the bottom of it. Like, dude, what? But that brings to another plot twist
Yeah.
was suddenly there was a heat wave that night
Yes.
because everybody was talking about, oh my gosh, it's so hot. I'm gonna go take a cold bath.
Because they don't have air conditioning in Arizona, apparently. Another
California.
reason.
This is
Yeah,
California.
they were in LA at that
now.
point. And how did it get hotter at night? Because during the day, no one complained about how hot it was. Suddenly, that night, oh, it's so hot. I need to go jump in this abandoned pool.
I'll tell you one thing. The minute those lights go out, I'm out of the haunted pool. Lickety split.
Right.
What the hell?
Absolutely.
No. Get me out of that shit show. No.
At
Oh
one
my
point,
gosh.
they
You're
have
getting
some kind of-
cholera, or I don't know what's
Oh.
living in there.
if you're lucky. If you're lucky.
Lucky.
At one point, there's some kind of, I don't know, medical aide who's working in there who just turns to the babies and goes, shut up, damn
Oh my
you.
God.
He was like, God damn it, shut up. And of course, Dr. Perry
How
comes
you
out.
handle conflict in the 70s. Shut up. That's why you have all those shaking baby. Don't shake the baby. Don't shake the
Yes.
dog. Don't shake your boss.
And Dr. Perry comes down and says, hey, what's going on, buddy? Why don't you go settle down? Go,
You need
and,
some
and,
whiskey.
and then he goes, and don't forget, you got to be back at 3 a.m.
Shaking those babies again.
Yeah, they did 24-hour shifts evidently.
Right.
Good grief. And you're right. At that moment, Dr. Perry's like, I'm just going to take Adam out of his cage with no protective gear of any kind. And I mean,
And what's
you're
the
just
first thing
asking
that
for it.
happens? And what's the first thing that happens?
Chop,
Mhm.
chop.
That's what you get.
Chop, chop. Adam went straight for that neck.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like, imagine you're jumping into, like, you swim with sharks, right? They put them in a cage to protect themselves. They don't just jump into the shark's mouth. I mean, that's basically what they're doing here.
That's just science.
It's just science.
I'm going to feed the shark some fish by directly going up to his mouth and putting the fish in his mouth.
How many people died in this movie just by not having any kind of, like, this is a mutant, okay?
It's just out of jackassery.
Just
Pure
out of-
jackassery.
pure jackass.
But I think what they were trying to do was trying to establish that Dr. Perry was always trying to say, look, these are just kids. They're babies. They need to be loved. So he was trusting of them. So, and he had taken Adam out before, and he had said before, but I only take Adam out. And every time I take him out, I always have a firearm with me. Well, you didn't have it that night now, did you, Dr. P? What was that all about?
So the other two are just feral, just waiting their bloodlust.
Yeah, they're just shaking the cage. Just shaking the cage, waiting to get out.
Well, what did they say? That the Adam and Eve had been fairly chill until the new mutant baby arrived. What was the new mutant baby's name? I'm trying to remember. Do you remember?
No, I don't think they ever gave it a name.
I think
I'm going to call it Malachi.
But they kept saying they knew that Joni was there when the mom got there. That's why they started getting
It was the
restless,
tracking device. They knew the tracking device was there.
because those
yeah.
babies had Bluetooth.
They had the blue. They're like,
Yes.
No, but that was shady too, because her mom set her up. Her mom met the guy at the Bruce Lee movie.
yeah.
Why Bruce Lee? I don't know. But because, those were the kind of movies my mom was going to go see.
100%. They go see Enter the Dragon. It's Joni and her mom. And her
Yeah.
mom slips a tracking device in her purse. So when she says, I'm going out for popcorn and just deuces, she
And
already
maybe
has
it was
these facts.
because she was bitter, because remember when they first took the baby from Joni, she was with her mom and they got in a fight, and Joni was like, whatever, you're going to eventually do whatever I say. And her
Yes.
mom was like, oh yeah, I am. Okay, bitch.
She's like,
And then she
"Do
just
whatever you
sold
say."
her out. She sold her out. Was that why? Why would you help people put a tracking device on your daughter, your own child, regardless of
Right.
what's going on? Man, she set her up.
That
Oh,
was
no,
pretty bad.
her mom was cold, like she'd been doing this all her life.
Right?
Right.
She was like mafioso.
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
When that dude sat down, she was like, yeah, she had no idea I did it. Go get that bitch.
Bring your guns with you, please.
Bring the
Yeah.
whole LAPD because she
Pretty
don't
much.
know.
Oh, sweet Jesus. And that night is when the shit goes down. All three freaks are just roaming. And again, they are 1.5 feet long, but evidently are just navigating through this.
They know how to swim. They
Yes.
can crawl for miles,
They can
like
do
they're
whatever.
greased lightning. I want to see them like flying through an upstairs window. I'm hoping that's all in Island of the Alive.
Well, here's a funny thing too, was that guy that was like screaming about the babies when Dr.
Shut
P
up.
came down to relieve him. Remember, he went upstairs to wait, what was it about? He
It
went to
was
go
a
take a
cold
bath.
bath.
He went to go take a cold bath,
Yep.
and when he
Do
got done
men
with his
take
bath,
a lot of baths? I always felt like that's more like a. I mean, some guys I'm sure take bath. Never mind.
The
Take all
70s
baths.
the
Takes
70s
baths?
the 70s was very Metro. Let's put it that way. Metro ain't new, it's just 70s. But but after he took his bath, remember he got in bed, he laid down. This thing crawled up his leg and he didn't feel it until it like jumped up. Then he gets up and he's like, "Oh shit, I got to set my alarm." He sets his alarm and then the thing attacks him. He starts yelling.
Yes.
His alarm goes off for some reason, and that's what Frank and the other guy downstairs hear. They
Not the
don't hear the guy yelling. They hear
Yep.
the alarm. And then he kept asking Gene, "Did you hear a bell sound like a telephone ringing or something?" Gene's like, "No, Frank, I found some shorts. You want to go swimming?" I'm like, "What?" Oh my gosh.
We don't need no shorts.
You want to go swimming? Hey, I didn't hear that guy screaming bloody murder, but I heard his tiny alarm clock ringing.
Pretty much. Well, we got to talk about that. The dude is in bed, and there's a huge lump in the bed because they couldn't
Right.
afford like actual animatronics for this
That
shit.
it was so bizarre. It was like they were like lovers trapped
There
in
was
the
a
sheets.
lover
It
climbing under.
was super creepy.
Because he didn't feel it while it was crawling up his leg. Or
Right.
did he?
Or
Did he?
did
And he was thinking it was something else.
Bulldog. Ay, ay, ay.
You
I
never-
was almost waiting for him to go, "Oh yeah, right there, baby."
Ah!
They
Until
basically, they basically could only afford one like stiff, like it's alive doll, right? So even though
Right.
there's three, you never see three of them. They would just be like, "Oh, the dude's swimming. Just throw that thing in the pool.
Oh
Throw it
my
in the
God.
pool. Splash around in there while you're like Bela Lugosi and the octopus." Oh
How
my
can they-
God!
And like
How can
Aaron
they
said,
afford
but you wouldn't
those?
see legs. You only see the head. You never
Right,
saw
head and
legs.
arms. Like
Yeah.
some-
They're like little mer people. How could they afford to have a clippet of a Bruce Lee movie, but they can only afford like one rubber doll from the Halloween store?
I think the licensing rules were a little looser back then, maybe.
So that's when the shit goes down. That's when it becomes a total bloodbath. The one baby is chasing the woman, like the fingers underneath the door, breaking in, and then Frank's like, "Oh, hang on. I know the thing chased you from room to room, but it's very loving and sweet. I'm gonna pick it up. It's fine. I'm gonna take him out into the woods somewhere."
But wait, what about when Gene was still in the pool struggling with that thing? The cops
Yes!
show up and they're like, "There it is," and they start
Boom,
shooting.
boom.
But they don't hit Gene, and they help him out of the pool. There was like 3 cops just firing off rounds. Get it!
We don't know what they hit because when he
They didn't
came
hit
out,
anything because
he
the
was
baby
spread
got
out.
away.
the baby. But
The
he's-
baby was still like in a net. Were they fishing? And they
Yes.
it was still snapping and snorting at them.
That is true. Gene came out wrapped in bandages. So probably he was the one who got shot. Yes. Was. You're right. He was like like some snapping turtle in the net. It's a good thing they had one of those nets from like Roman gladiator times.
Because
just
you
to
know
throw
you
in
keep
there.
those with them. You know you keep those with you all the time. I got a net in my trunk just in case. I got jumper
Absolutely.
cables and a net. That's an
Oh, we-
emergency roadside kit.
All we needed at the hospital was a net, not the steel cabinets, because baby monsters can't cut through net.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Oh, sweet Jesus. Now, what happens to the baby that Frank runs off with? I know it chews on him and then it kind of scampers away. Do you guys remember what happened to that baby?
I thought he circled back.
That was the one that ended up at the kid's birthday party, wasn't it?
Ah!
Oh,
Yeah.
that's-
Oh my God. Some of the worst child acting ever. These are clearly the children of the crew. They're like the best boy, the key grip.
Yes.
I got a boy. He wants to be in your monster movie.
My boy always wanted to be in a movie.
That's true.
That was some of the worst nonsense I ever saw in my life. It
They
made Gene should have gotten an Academy Award compared to this shit.
Jesus. No, you're right about it. The
And
little
they were
crazy
trying
claw
to.
hand.
They were bullying the little girl at her
Yes.
own birthday party. Oh my gosh, it was
I
terrible.
thought that was a little boy.
Was it a
There-
boy? It's okay. Never mind. It was androgynous, but
Who's to say? Who's to
It's
say?
true.
I don't like to
Non-binary.
label people. I don't
But-
labels.
okay.
What are they?
Okay.
Yes.
but what was funny about that was once they all get scared away, and the baby runs off, the girl or boy was like, "Thank you for my presents. I love them." Like, while they're all running back, like, okay, I mean, that's nice that you're being polite, but is this the moment to say that?
This
Well,
is like this is Children of the Damned. Literally, these are feral children. There's not an adult in sight. Parents dropped a cake off and left.
And they went to go smoke some weed. It's the
Smoked some
70s.
weed. Went to go see a porn. They're swingers.
You
We'll
had to
come
go
back.
see it. Right.
We'll come back after the party's over. Y'all know when we get back, after the high C is gone, after the tang is empty, we'll be back.
I see. This reminded me of that scene from Alligator, where there's some kind of party where the kids throw the kid like we're pirates, and they push the kid off the diving board into the pool with a giant crocodile in there. That movie was like, we don't give a damn. Kids are getting eaten by alligators. This one, nope.
No.
We're-
More
Those-
kids, more gators.
More kids, more kids.
So the one dude has literally been attacked by a mutant. Gene's been attacked by a mutant in the pool. The mom was pursued by
Right.
another mutant through the house. And
Two
they
of
fi-
them, because
Two
there
of
was two. There was one, and then the other one under the bed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when they find their own baby, then who's a hideous freak, they're like, oh, damn, Frank was right all along. Oh, my wounds. Honey, you're going to have to hold the baby for a little while because I'm horribly disfigured from the attack that occurred 30 seconds ago. I love this baby, this mutant. So, and they're like snuggling, like with a blanket and everything, as
Right.
as the government's like, we're going to just tent your house.
Tending the house.
We're gonna, they just found a house that was already being tended for termites, and it. We're just gonna, repurpose.
We'll sneak
this.
in at night. No one will be the wiser.
No, it'll be the
But
one.
first they gave him guns, and he's like, "Where's your gun, Joni? I told you, damn it, go get your gun." While she was tending to his wounds.
But they,
And then when she goes to turn around and get the gun, that's when the baby shows up, and they're like, "Oh, we love you."
we've changed our mind. We were wrong. Well, we were right, and now we were wrong, and now we're right again. They
Let's
flip-flop.
give you some raw meat and be a happy family.
a huge.
Why are they
trough.
feeding their baby raw meat?
Because they just figure, I mean, Aaron, your baby is going around scratching up people's necks. What do you think he wants?
Maybe it wants Taco Bell, but they were like giving it like gizzards. How about let's try not to treat it like a crazy fucking I am not an animal. How about like try to raise it so it's somewhat human, take it out of a cage.
Were they out of formula? What are we doing? What are we doing? Let's start with that, okay? Before we go immediately to kidneys and gizzards.
How about give you some dino nuggets?
Something.
Oh my God. Like a Swanson's TV dinner or something? Come on.
Give him something. But again, so then the old doctor walks in. He says, "Hey, let me tell you my life story." And the baby attacks him, and immediately the parents flip again. They're like, "Get the gun! Kill him! Kill that kid!" Shoot him!"
wait, Aaron,
Please.
Kevin,
Go
I gotta
for it.
back you up. I gotta back you up again. So remember, they get them all settled in the house. First of all, the government, they're talking about, hey, here's this room, here's that room. All you gotta do is dial 976 or whatever. When did they set all this up? They acted like they've always had this safe house to put them in. And then they were like, hey, I don't want any guys within a mile of this house. And so they all stand back and they're looking at the house. And the one guy who I just started calling him the assassin, the dude they called in to help kill these babies,
Yep.
he's talking to the old dude and he's like, oh, so you're not nervous? Look at your fingers. He looks at his fingernails and they're bleeding. What does that have to do with being nervous? Have you ever been so nervous your fingernails started bleeding?
He's biting his nails. That's what it means.
I think that's what it
They
means.
never showed him biting his nails. Have you ever bit your nails so much that they bled?
He was too busy shoving a Pall Mall in there.
I was like, this scene makes absolutely zero sense. He was like, you're not nervous? Look at your fingers. Dude looks down and they're all bleeding.
I don't stop at the nail. I go all the way in.
I go into at least the first knuckle.
Oh my gosh.
And evidently, that actor was brought back from the first movie.
Yeah.
Like he was a police officer or something.
He's pivotal.
He's
Right.
pivotal. He's a key figure
Right, they
in this whole
introduced-
franchise.
In the they introduce him like he's Kramer or some shit. They're like, "Hey, here he is. We all remember him, don't we? Hell no, we don't. You might give me a flashback scene or something. I don't know who this dude is. The hero of the hour. Sweet.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's oh God, help us.
Made
So
no sense.
all the shit goes down, and then snap cut. Now we're in San Francisco
Yes.
at Nob Hill for only 30 seconds. You're already in LA, but we need to fly to a new location and just have some vague bits of San Francisco
Yep.
in the
Well, because
background. The
James-
first building was also seen in Vertigo.
Because Gene's the new Frank. He
Gene's
has
the new
to
Frank.
warn. He has to warn everybody.
But he likes to travel in nicer areas.
And again,
Well,
he's the one who shot his own baby. So I mean,
He's going to shoot yours, and you're going to thank him. Let's face it, we've all been parents. We love our children, but there have been times.
There have been times.
There have been
There's
times.
times tonight. Mine are old, and
Come
I'm
again.
kind of wanting to shoot them tonight.
there are going to be some parents with mutant babies. They bring that mutant kid to school. The parent, teacher's calling to complain. This kid's been acting up. Not my mutant baby. My
Not
mutant baby wouldn't do that.
He ate Timmy O'Toole at recess.
No.
Do you have a video of that?
Did he scratch his neck? Then that's not my baby.
What was he doing to him first?
He only attacks when he's threatened. What did Timmy do
It's
first?
only when
Yeah.
he's threatened. That's right.
What did your child do to cause his head to fall off?
My mutant baby does not kill unwarranted. Yes, if you give him a little sass, you're going to get a claw. Okay. So anyway,
I kind of love Gene's whole scene when, like you were talking about, when the baby attacked the doctor, and then afterwards, Joni's like, "Hold him. He just wants you to touch him." And that's when Gene showed all of his twitches. He's in the background going like this. And then he goes to pick up the baby. He's like,
having an episode.
"Dude, come on,
That was
man."
like a scene from Scanners there for a minute.
He was repulsed, but he loved it. But he tried.
Yeah, he didn't learn that from Stella Adler in New York. I'll tell you what.
He tried for a solid 10 minutes to love his own baby and not want to kill it.
But it was the mom who was like, "Kill it! Kill
She
it!"
held his hand and helped him kill it.
She was like,
Yeah.
"You won't do it, you pussy! I'll take care of it."
Enough is enough and enough is too much.
So
Oh my gosh.
this movie, no, I mean, literally, I wrote down motivations swing wildly. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
They're with the baby.
Can't
They're
argue.
against the baby. Sweet Jesus! I just kept writing down, what is the plan? What are they trying to accomplish? What are they doing here? What does it all mean? No answer.
No one knows.
Well, it was
no
the-
no
it was-
answer because
it
no
was
one
the-
knows.
It was the pivotal battle of good versus evil, Kevin. It was, you had good Frank trying to save babies, and then you had evil government trying to kill them.
Are
we-
Welcome to
Are
2024.
they evil?
Welcome-
In retrospect, are they evil?
Well, that brings me to the point that I wanted to bring up about how this story got completely flipped around from the first one. If you remember in the first one, and like I said, I think we got into a kind of a heated discussion about
we
this.
did.
About, remember, they kind of hinted that there was some sort of pharmaceutical involved. They even
Yes.
had that.
Oh, like
Pharmaceutical-
thalidomide? Like thalidomide? What is it? Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, they had the guy come in, and the discussion we got into was that I was saying I think Frank was in on it because I think he was getting some kind of kickback because
Like Rosemary's Baby.
like the way the guy kept talking to him. But in this one, they started to change that narrative to say, no, this is just the evolution of humankind. These are the new humans. And so whenever you see one of these babies, that's what Dr. Perry was saying.
Correct.
We need to go save these babies because this is the next level of human evolution. And
the next level is old blind blob babies with a thirst for blood.
Basically, you will be born as Mickey Rooney with claws and scratching people's necks. That's evolution.
I literally think they had to change the story so they didn't get sued by pharmaceutical corporations because they were all done with. I mean, this is much closer to the Gummy Bear. Remember the Native American movie with the Prodigy?
Yeah,
the polluted water
and the
prophecy. Yeah.
This seems much closer to this because if this is the evolution, wouldn't they be getting better and not worse?
I think they changed the story because they changed writers. I think that's all that was what happened. They just changed writers. And they were like, let's tweak this story a little bit and try to move it along. And then they tried to make it franchise worthy. And
it's
that's up to you to decide whether or not they accomplished that goal.
Well, the first movie was very much like an A to B narrative.
Right.
It was easy to follow. I know we had some discussions about whether Frank was secretly involved or not, but the plot was very easy to follow. You understood who the players were, what role they had. This one, it was like, I don't know what is happening.
As soon as we're breeding 5-year-old babies, I was like, I don't know what the fuck's happening now. That's part of the evolution too?
Yes. Well, and that's the thing. It's like when It's Alive is like a normal film and this is the crazy bonkers sequel. I mean, that's a bridge too far. It's jumped off the deep end of the pool, right? I mean, good grief.
I don't know. I think this might be better.
I think it's more amusing.
Yeah. I mean, it is better in a way.
Yeah.
I will kind of lean on Aaron's side and say that there's more meat to this story. There's actually more meat on the bone than the first one.
Yeah, the first one was a little disappointing. It's a little slow. It's not much going on. This one maybe had a little too much going on.
Yeah, too much going on, but it's enough of an extra that you could say, we could possibly build on this, actually, if we did it right.
Hired a writer. Any other highlights you guys want to talk about?
We covered it all. I
think we covered it all because I kept bringing us back to the points that I wanted to make. So
that's what you gotta do, Leo.
Gotta rein it all in.
We're like one of those It's Alive babies. You gotta just throw the net on. Otherwise, who knows? Let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
Yes.
There's not much. The opening credits for the film were done using director Larry Cohen's own swimming pool. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Cinematographer Daniel Pearl was called in as a replacement for the original cinematographer, who did not much like Cohen's improvisational style and left the shoot.
Oh, so he's like a Larry David kind of character.
100%. That's what we're saying.
This is kind of like the Seinfeld of its time.
You use just a little too much mayonnaise.
There was such a strong response to the film during its sneak preview that executives were convinced that the audience had been filled with ringers. You know what that means? Where they brought in
people to go see it.
Whoa! This is amazing. So it's possible that
they were drunk or high. That's 100%.
Drunk, high, and paid.
Absolutely.
And paid.
Yeah.
Let's see. The film was shot on an 18-day schedule. So there you go. That's something.
That seems fair.
It seems right.
I don't want to hear 180 days for this.
No, because if it took them any longer than that, I'm like, what the hell?
they got an Airbnb and away they went.
John P. Ryan, Andrew Duggan, James Dixon are the only actors from the first film to appear in this one. Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about the cast and crew?
Yes, please.
Director, writer Larry Cohen. You know him from such things as God Told Me To in 1976. I'm not familiar with
I'm
that.
scared. I'm
Uh,
scared.
I'm curious.
No, It's Alive, 1974. It Lives Again, 1978. He did a lot of movies in the 80s that I thoroughly enjoyed, such as The Stuff was Larry Cohen.
Can't get enough of that stuff.
Yep,
Just
you
can't
got
get
him. The stuff
enough.
is that was his best. That's his apex right there.
Absolutely. And Q, about the giant
Oh God.
dinosaur thing flying around.
They lived up in Chicago, the tower in Chicago,
New
right?
York.
Oh my
New York is in the
gosh.
Chrysler
This is in
Building.
New York.
Yep. And Michael
I
Moriarty is in all of
could
them.
I could never figure out if that movie was serious or was just kind of like a parody of just being a
remember-
movie.
Quetzalcoatl. I remember those ads on TV. It was gonna be
Yeah.
terrifying.
Well, it was an all-star cast. I mean, you
Yeah,
had
and that's why
Michael Moriarty.
Michael Moriarty. You had Kung Fu. What's his name?
David Carradine.
Dave Carradine was in it. Richard
Yeah.
Roundtree was in it. It was. It was crazy.
That's what threw me off about. I'm like, are they joking or did they mean to do this?
This is deadly serious, Leo. Deadly serious.
Did they mean to do this? That's always the question.
That's it.
Frederick Forrest played Eugene Scott.
I thought I'd seen him in a bunch of stuff, but
Yeah.
apparently
he was in a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, a bunch of stuff I liked.
Oh, well, that's a
let's
different
see.
question.
Let's see. Go ahead, Kevin.
He
Let's see what you
was
got.
Jay Chef. I'm having an episode. Jay Chef Hicks in Apocalypse Now in 1979.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was.
That was his apex.
Yeah.
He
that
was
it.
Mark in The Conversation in 1974.
I
I
don't know
didn't
that.
see that, but
That
I
was
think that's a
Francis
real
Ford Coppola.
movie.
That's
Yeah,
real.
that's a real movie.
Yeah.
He was in Falling Down, playing the surplus store owner, 1993.
That's real.
I remember
um,
that.
oh,
Falling Down was actually a really good movie.
It was.
But
Yeah.
I'm suspecting we're going to be hitting a slide here.
He was in 4
No,
episodes.
that's a bounce up.
Go ahead.
No, I said that was a bounce up. Don't
That
say
was-
it's a slide down.
I agree.
No, I mean now. Then there's a pause.
Okay.
He was in 4 episodes of Lonesome Dove, the TV miniseries. That was
Never
real.
watched that.
I never watched it, but I've
That's
heard
Robert
things.
Duvall and
People
Tommy Lee
watched it.
Jones. It's a thing. I remember he was in The Rose with Bette Midler,
Never saw it.
and he
I've
was
seen
married
it.
to
Some
Mary Lou
say
Henner
love.
for like 4 years in the early
Yeah.
80s. So Frederick
Interesting.
Forrest. False Scott Glenn is what I always call him. Kathleen Lloyd.
Wait. We
Yes?
seem to have stopped. One, you never mentioned Valley Girl. What
I
year
did
was
not.
that?
He was also in Valley Girl. There you go. Moving on.
With Nick Cage, what are your favorites? How dare you, sir?
That was early Cage, but yes, I need to go see it again.
Yeah, early Cage at his best Cage.
Kathleen Lloyd played Jodie Scott, the mother of the freak. You know her from 1977's The Car.
The Car.
Yep.
Oh,
Not
that's-
Christine.
No. The
Car.
Car is a classic. I did that. I covered that on a. You guys heard of Podcasters Assemble?
Oh, yes, I have. Very much so.
They have a Podcasters Disassemble, and I told them we need to do The Car, and we did. You got to go check that out.
That's James Brolin, right? He's in The Car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, The Car is a classic. The horn. That's all you gotta know. You gotta know the car, the horn of the car, and then you're good to go.
Absolutely.
Never saw it.
Oh, you need to see it, Aaron. I think it's right up your alley. It's one of those classic 70s. What the hell movies?
There was a lot of like cars that drove themselves. Americans were terrified of their cars in the 70s.
This was the one. This was the one that set it off, in my opinion. Because then there were a couple where they tried to imply it was Satan in the car, but the car started it all.
Absolutely. She
And
was
then
also-
came Knight Rider. Is this
And
is
then
this like,
eventually came
is
Knight Rider.
like Jesus to the
Yes.
car Satan?
very much
Literally.
Is there an epic battle of cars just running into each other at the end?
Hey, you didn't watch Knight Rider like I did. There was an evil Michael Knight Right?
Yes, there
Evil
was.
David Hasselhoff with the mustache. You always
Right.
Don't hassle the Hoff. Oh my
Yep.
God.
I'm
No, I
with
did not watch that.
Kevin, oh gosh, I watched every episode of Knight Rider. That was
good
the
stuff.
stuff back in the day. Oh my! I had a kit. I had a kit car. Anyway, go ahead, Kevin. Listen.
She was also in The Missouri Breaks in 1976.
That was a real movie.
It was a real movie. It was with Jack Nicholson.
Yes, that was a real movie.
It was a lesser one. She was in 26 episodes of Equal Justice from 90
Never
to
heard of it.
91.
No.
Not familiar.
Yeah.
She was
No.
in 21 episodes of Magnum PI as Bridget Archer.
You don't get extra credit for that.
That's a show.
I mean, that's something
show,
though.
but
I
who
mean,
gives a
good,
shit?
good to her credit. That's Magnum PI.
Well,
To me, that's no different than Empty Nest.
It's the exact same thing as Empty Nest. I think we can all agree.
That's high cred. I mean, I will say I never religiously watched Magnum PI. I would watch it from time to time, but
Sure.
as far as an actor goes, that's good street cred right there.
That's something.
Many of my friends' husbands all cried when he died in the show.
There you go.
I
Very
wasn't
emotional
I
time.
wasn't one of those husbands. So anyway,
John P. Ryan played Frank Davis. You know him from such things
Frank.
as Runaway Train in 1985. In 1993, he was in Batman Mask of the Phantasm animated. So he was a voice.
Oh,
he was a
Mm.
voice. Yeah.
He was in Bound, shockingly, in 1996.
is that some sex farm movie? What is that?
Yes, that's the Wachowskis. They did that with Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly.
Oh, you know what?
my
I just
gosh.
heard that on the podcast. You must remember this. They were talking about erotic 90s.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
that was
erotic.
the theme.
Highly erotic. He was also in The Right Stuff. He was just called head of program. So he was one of the guys in charge of the astronauts. So there you go.
All right, Frank.
Anybody else you want to know from this cast?
Yeah, I want to know about those f***ed up kids.
What did the babies go on to do?
There's somebody who played Baby Monster uncredited. Greg Canham. Greg Canham played Baby Monster uncredited. He was in the makeup department for Vice in 2018.
All
Still in
right.
Hollywood.
All
He
right,
was
go
in the
ahead.
makeup
He was
department.
working.
He's big in the makeup department. He's in the Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Bicentennial Man. And
No
all the
matter
names-
what, he still has that in his pocket.
Right.
I
right.
was
was
baby-
one of the baby monsters, and it's alive too.
Well,
I would
that's
be
how-
so
that-
proud. I
That's
put
how
that on my
he started
resume.
his career. That will always be his story. He can tell guys.
Dude.
You see how successful I am right now. You will never believe how I started.
It all
Can't even.
started with "It's Still Alive." Or what, it lives again. It lives again.
It's
Why did they
still
call it "It's Still Alive"? That's a better title than "It Lives Again."
How about why won't
Why
it
did-
die?
No,
Why
we-
won't it die?
We already gave it the best title. Here it is.
There it is. Whoop, there
Whoop,
it is.
there it is.
And then
Whoop,
here
there
it is. Again. Here it is again.
There it is again. Whoops.
What about the
Whoops, there it
blonde?
is.
What about the blonde that was trying to hit on Frank at the beginning? Do you
She
have
may
any
be
kind of?
credited. Let me see if I. What was her name? Cindy.
Who knows?
Lydia.
Chesty LaRue.
Chesty LaRue.
Tits McGee.
Yep, that's her. Let's look at the rating, shall we?
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
let's.
This is my favorite part.
It Lives Again. Currently, 47%.
Oh, that is a surprise.
Do you know what the audience gave it?
62.
I will say about a 48.
27%.
Well, yeah. I was trying to be generous, and
Boy.
actually, that sounds about right because, yeah.
Kevin, look up Cannibal Holocaust. What's the rating?
I'm not looking
Wait.
that up right now.
No,
Son of a-
what
They
did
all have to sit quietly while I look it up on my phone.
well, what did Gene Shalit say about it?
I love Gene Shaw. I wish he would pop up more often on Rotten Tomatoes. Sadly, he does not. Variety Staff says,
Variety staff.
though this is all so much silliness, Cohen effectively uses a good cast topped by Frederick Forrest and Kathleen Lloyd to build up suspense for the slashing, growling attacks by the terrible tykes.
Yeah.
So there you go. Vincent Canby had a different opinion of the New York
Oh.
Times. Mr. Cohen wrote, directed, and produced the film, which most of the time has the manner of something improvised in blind panic. So there you go. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That makes sense. What is your rating, Aaron?
I'm still trying. I don't know how to spell Holocaust.
Oh, Jesus.
HOLO cost.
Do you want me to look this up? Okay. God help us all.
I
This is
did see that there was a movie called Vegetarian Cannibal.
That doesn't make any sense. Here you go.
It
Cannibal
doesn't.
Holocaust. I pulled it up.
That's a 67.
67.
Wow.
What did the audience give it? 61. 61.
So that means it's 3 times better than this movie.
Nick
I cried
Shager of
bullshit.
Lessons of Darkness says the actual savages involved with Cannibal Holocaust are the ones behind the camera. Makes sense. Makes
All
perfect sense.
I'm gonna tell it to you straight. This
All
is
right.
better than the first one, so I cannot wait to see how Island of the Alive will surpass this. I say 3 babies get you 3 out of 5 stars. Go check it out. Good for the holidays.
Good for the Leo. What is your rating for It's Still Living Again? I don't remember.
So I'm going to get a little conceptual here. I kept thinking about these movies, like even the first one. Why were these considered scary? What was horror about these movies? And it finally dawned on me. These movies aren't they're not necessarily scary about what you see. It's the idea of what's going on. So it's
Right.
the idea of, oh my gosh, if you're pregnant right now, what would happen if, or what happens after? So
Right.
I will give them credit for trying to build that narrative. And I think that's what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to not scare us with these little creatures. They were just trying to scare us with the story.
Pregnancy is scary. They just came off. I don't know when thalidomide was. Was it the 50s or the 60s? So we still just came off of that.
Yeah.
So, and then there was the Manitou, where the lady gave birth to the witch doctor in her back. So
And
this
then there
was the
was the
time
whole-
of fucked up pregnancies.
And then there was the whole pollution thing. They kept throwing that in there too. Oh, pollution. So that for me gives them a little bit more merit, because as far as a quote unquote scary movies goes, but I will give them a 3. I'll give them a 3 out of Joni, go ahead and shoot the baby 5. Joni, go ahead and do it. Just
Woman, get me the gun! Junior's gone rampant.
Well, and I think we're all kind of paddling in the same direction in our canoe, because I'm giving it 3.5.
Whoa,
Yes,
a bump,
baby.
a bump.
A little bit of a bump, because look, it's not scary at all. It is not even a little bit. The plot is nonsensical, but that's why it's so goddamn amazing.
Right. Yeah.
It's so ridiculous that it kind of makes me smile a little bit. How ridiculous it truly is. When the guy says, "Shut up, damn it, shut up," maybe you don't have the temperament to work with children. It would be my feeling in that moment.
Right.
I would say if you happen to stumble upon it, give it a gander, perhaps. I would not search it out. I would not pay $3.99 to watch it again.
No.
Again.
Again.
But the question, though, Kevin, is, because Kevin likes to buy all this bullshit, did you rent or did you buy, Kevin?
I rented it because I think to buy it would have been like $14.99 or something.
I believe it was
$14.99.
$9.99. Still too much. Still
Come
too
on,
much.
you can't even chalk that excuse up with inflation. It's not worth $14.99.
Shrinkflation. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No. I mean, like, the only time I buy those movies, it's like when we've done like the Leprechaun films, where it's like $3.99 to rent, $4.99 to buy. Even then, I'm like,
that dollar difference only. Yeah.
What do I do? I mean, because you ought to be able to own it, I guess, in that scenario for $4.99.
Really?
But that's the issue. It's those Leprechaun films. So again, I wouldn't go so far as to recommend it. But again, if you walk into a room and it's on the TV on its own for some reason, like The Ring, I guess you could sit down and watch it.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Like
The Ring?
No, I'm saying if the TV is on, like The Ring.
I'm still not even sure what the hell.
I know.
Is the Ring
We know what you said, and then you just said it again.
Okay, let me say
is the Ring just on your TV all the time?
In The Ring, sometimes the movie the TV just turns on.
Oh,
its own.
Okay.
Oh,
Sweet Jesus.
All right, I have a
the
weird.
film
I have
The
a
Ring is better, obviously.
Yeah, there was about to be an issue.
I'm out of here. Forget this show.
you bastard.
How dare you? Any last thoughts about
Yes,
this
Kevin.
film, please?
Who will inherit all your digital media when you die? Does it just get evaporated? This is a legal issue
Aaron, don't do
that is
this.
of our time.
Don't do this.
What happens to the tens of thousands of dollars sitting in your Amazon Prime account? When you die, does it just
Well, we share
like
an account.
Kaiser Soze? Who do you
mean-
share the account with?
Well, it depends. When we're I mean,
Is it part of your estate planning?
Yeah, it's 100%. You got to start there. No, what
Do
I'm
you
going
know
to do.
Do you
Go
know
ahead.
that there's digital estate planning services? Did you guys know this?
I did not know that. I need to.
They've
look
been
it up.
around for decades.
Well,
Who's
going to
run my Facebook when I'm dead?
That's even a consideration, because I'll tell you guys something about my digital medium. I own It's Alive and It Lives Again, and the next iteration on my Plex server. I have them on terabyte hard drives. So the question becomes, who gets that when I die? Because this is stuff, like all my stuff. Who gets it when I die?
This is your estate.
This is my estate. And there
my
are
legacy.
services that handle that. I have a collection of horror movies, some that we haven't even talked about. I have a collection of movies on hard copy that we should talk about. We should talk off camera. Let's circle back. But
Are
anyway,
you talking about
the point
stuff
was-
films, or what are you saying? What are you talking
No, I got all kinds of things.
secret
Collection.
Well,
vault?
there was a movie I wanted to talk about on another show, and they were like, "Nah, let's do something else." You guys remember Brainstorm?
With
With
Christopher
Christopher
Walken.
Walken?
Walken.
Oh
Yes,
my
yes, yes.
gosh, 80s classic.
I don't think I ever saw it.
Oh,
Oh, is that the one where Natalie Wood died?
well, she
Yes.
died, yeah. But you can record human thought. Oh my gosh, this is an absolute science fiction classic. We need to talk about this on your show.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean,
But
But my point was subscription services. What happens if you spend 20 years, 30 years downloading all this shit, but it's a paid account? Do you really own that material?
with subscriptions
now?
are a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
Because all you own is the login. So all you can pass on is the login.
Right.
But
to
if
get to
there's
those.
like
to those
Prime where you
subscription.
have to pay, but you've bought all this stuff. It doesn't exist on a hard drive. It exists
Aaron,
daily.
I got some bad news to tell you about that sort of thing.
I own 2 movies. Kevin's got bad news.
I got some bad news to tell you both about buying things through subscription services like that.
Yeah.
But that's a different conversation. But yeah. So yeah,
Only
there are
for
services.
Our Patreon account.
There are estate services that handle your digital lifestyle
I need to know.
once you pass. Yeah.
I'm just
I
gonna
need all
change
the
my
awkward
password.
stuff wiped away.
All the awkward stuff, like this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, thank you very much. Go to our page across the internet. We're on X, Blue Sky, Threads. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. You may be watching this on YouTube, for goodness sake. You can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
I do have stuff on First Dibs and Artsy, Aaron Doherty, but mostly I hang out on the gram. The Cult of Aaron. Join us.
And Leo,
I don't know when the hell this is going to be posted, but I've got some artwork at the good old Bakersfield Museum of Art coming up for their art mix sale on the 24th. So
oh, very cool.
I'm sure this will air about a week after that. So
if you're lucky, Leo, you're not in the podcasting game anymore, correct?
Well, it's kind of a long story. So I stopped doing voluntary input, but it may come back. We'll see what happens. Who knows what the future may hold. Even during voluntary input, I used to tell people, I kind of, production is my heart. So I kind of always wanted to get off the microphone and step back and just produce things for other people. So that's what I've been concentrating on as of late, and just working on a few projects. I also got into voice narration for audiobooks. I'm currently in a book called, oh gosh, he's going to kill me if I don't remember this. The artist's name is Carlotta Odell, and the book is called, we'll get back to that. And
link in bio.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be producing her next few books in that series. I won't be voicing the next few, but I'll be doing the audio and the music for that. I also produce music for myself. You can go to youtube.com at Profound Simplicity just to find some of my music. And I don't do a lot on social media lately, except for I'm kind of like focusing only on Blue Sky and Threads. And for the record, I like Threads way better than Instagram. There's less clutter. There's no, that like the ads and all that crap. And I hate how Instagram does that thing where, do you guys know the most interesting thing you will ever see on Instagram? That thing you're watching that disappears once it refreshes, and you can never find it again.
No, it sends me in a rage.
I hate Instagram for that.
Yeah.
I want to kill everybody every time that happens. Threads doesn't do that. You can just open it back up and go right back to where you were. So Threads over Instagram, and I will die on that hill.
My issue is all my Instagrammers are just posting the goddamn same thing on Threads.
Well, because I'm just telling you, get into Threads. I'm telling you, we're
all on Threads too.
It's a much better experience, in my opinion.
It's us and about 6 other people, I think.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what I've been up to. Just like getting on, more into producing in the back end.
You love it so much, so I think you should just take over, be our engineer for free, and work out all our issues. And then, once we get famous, we'll kick you back something.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that off camera. We'll circle back. What's the technical jargon? Let's circle back to that.
We'll put a pin in that.
We'll put a pin in that. There it is.
Aaron is desperate to find an intern, forgetting that I am the intern. I'm
not an intern. I'm a producer, and that's a totally different job.
Producer.
Totally different job.
Nonprofit. So
no, I work in tech for a nonprofit. That's a totally different pin too.
Yeah, we're nonprofit as well. Wah, wah.
Against our will, nonprofit.
It's a sad situation.
Right.
What we like to do occasionally is share comments, questions people have on the interwebs. So let me bring that up. It may take me a while. Here we go.
Bring up one of my comments. I comment all the time. Bring up one of mine.
Absolutely. We share Leo's all the live long day. This was based upon the video that we did for 12 Monkeys, a former episode. And this is on, I think this is on TikTok, actually. AKA DD1006 says, has Brad Pitt ever won an Oscar for any of his performances? He really is amazing.
Okay, Brad Pitt is better now. Amazing are strong words. Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt.
That is true.
And sometimes that works.
I think, wait, can we Can I say something real quick?
Please.
Yes, you
I
may.
thought I remember Aaron saying something about never really caring for Brad Pitt before.
Correct.
And
There
to,
were-
to
Go
that point, I have a hard time naming movies he's ever been in.
California with a K. I liked him in that.
I
And
don't
I
think I
like-
ever watched that though.
with
It's
Duchovny.
worth it. It's
Okay.
good. David Duchovny. They're driving across. It's Juliette Lewis. In fact, he was like 25 or 26, and she was like 14, and they were dating.
I remember it, but I don't think I ever watched it.
It was good. They're like psychos. And then Bullet Train. I liked him. in
That's what I'm
Bullet Train.
saying. And then Bullet Train.
Boom.
What
That's all
else-
you need.
What else was Brad Pitt doing up until this point?
Meaning
that
the
made
him so
35
famous.
years between those two films.
Yeah, I mean, he's
he
always
got-
been around, but I cannot name a movie of his that I'm like, yeah, that's why Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt.
Snatch.
The Ocean's 11 movies he was in.
For example, let me give it an example
Once Upon a
because I
Time in
know a
Hollywood.
lot of people don't really care for Tom Cruise because of the whole
variety of reasons.
science. Yeah,
Or,
variety.
or his
But-
acting. Or
but-
his acting.
But if you are Gen X like me, you can at least say, but there was risky business.
Absolutely.
No, there was Magnolia. That's where Tom Cruise is best. role.
Magnolia, risky business. Where is that for Brad Pitt? That's my point. I can't pinpoint this guy. Other than I know all the women always thought he was hot, but I'm like, well, what were they watching him in?
A River Runs Through It, Legends of the Fall, Interview with the Vampire.
Interview with the Vampire. Okay,
Seven.
but that's key.
But 7, and he was annoying in that. He
Yeah,
was
he
so fucking irritating. 12 Monkeys. He got a Golden Globe for that.
He did.
He was nominated for an Academy Award, did not win.
World War Z, Bullet Train, Fight Club. Now, I do like Fight
Okay,
Club.
Fight Club. Fight Club. There it is. Yeah, Fight
Yeah.
Club. That's right. Yeah.
Inglorious Bastards. So
Yeah.
there are movies. I don't like
Sprinkle.
Tom Cruise, but sometimes he's in a good movie.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? How about that? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, maybe one of his best roles too.
Right. Okay. Sprinkled throughout. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Sorry.
he's getting
All right, Kevin.
better. He's like Keanu, getting better every day.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep,
it's that
okay.
same kind of thing. It's like it seemed like after the millennium, those actors like, I took a couple acting classes. Now I'm kind of entertaining to watch. Wherein before they were
How
kind of
about
empty
that?
suits, right?
Yeah.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Handy.
Next week, we're discussing I always got to get the train back on the track.
It was my turn to derail it. That time I derailed it. That was my fault.
This next week, we're discussing the horror classic Deadly Friend, starring Christy Swanson. Who else in this? A few other people. Anne Ramsey from Throw Mama from the Train. You know her.
You're
don't
just
you?
making sounds, Kevin. I don't even know what you're saying.
Directed by Wes Craven. Directed by,
Well, I do know that name, but that's not always the market quality.
I haven't seen this movie in probably 30 years. but
Wes
something-
Craven is the man.
he's-
Come on, Aaron. Come
He does some
on.
stuff.
Stop it. Behave yourself.
Deadly Friend. It's like somebody gets turned into a robot or something along those lines. I
Yeah.
barely recall.
Well, don't turn me into a robot, and then I won't be pissed.
If you'd like to watch this, you will be paying full freight on Amazon, Apple TV, YouTube, Vudu, all for about $3.99. I don't like that the standard price to rent is now $3.99. It's upsetting to me.
I remember it was 99.
99. Yep.
And
And I'm still paying $175 a year just so I can give him more money. So Wes Craven,
Yep.
of course, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the trashy Hills Have Eyes.
Wait. Are you Googling Wes Craven's filmography for us, Wes Craven fans? You're not telling us anything we don't already know,
Who are you
ma'am.
talking to, Aaron?
Who are you
myself.
talking to, Aaron?
Fucking Serpent in the Rainbow.
Oh my gosh,
Scream?
that's classic.
Yeah. He's done a million things.
Serpent in the Rainbow.
Music of the
Dr.
Heart.
Allen,
What the fuck
I
is
need
that?
you to scream.
That's a good one.
Not good enough.
Not good enough.
Oh
That was
my
a great one.
gosh. Ooh.
So Send in your
Silent J and Bob Strike Back is a Wes Craven film.
I think he appears in it briefly.
Yeah, he was in
He
it.
didn't direct it. That's Kevin
and
Smith.
Inside Deep Throat. So that's
Well,
interesting.
maybe we'll do that next week. You can watch Deadly Friend and send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions.
I ain't ever heard of this movie.
And
ever.
Maybe we'll talk about it on the show. So, Leo, thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is always a good time. Love you guys.
Love you too, man. And be well.
Ooh, yeah.